Kia ora everybody, Toby Adam, Mayor, Hauraki District Council. We thought we'd do a little video. We've been having public meetings. We've had one in Ngatea, we've had one in Paeroa, we've got another one coming up in Waihi on Thursday, we've got some out at Whiritoa, we're going to do one up at Kaiawa, and we're out at the Waitakaruru Stock Banks and the Waitakaruru School. Just talking about our long-term plan, which is this love our place, love this place. But what I thought was, because not everyone can go to those meetings, and sometimes the word doesn't spread far and wide enough, that I'd do a couple of video updates on what is in our long-term plan, what does it mean for you guys, and the more important question is, what does it do to our rates? So we've broached the subject many times before. Rates is just a really, really blunt form of tax, and the total tax take of New Zealand, 90% of it's collected by central government, 10% by local government. And local government, for that 10% of the tax take, we do a massive amount of work. So that includes all our parks, all our reserves, all our roading, footpaths, libraries, swimming pools, any activity, water, wastewater, any activity that's out there that you see that council's doing, we've got to do it for that 10% tax take. So rate increases are going up. The average rate increase is about 17.4% for the average person, which is about $11.19 per day, which includes water. Some of those costs, or all of those costs, are risen due to some really stuff that's outside of our impact. One of those is inflation, interest costs, and then just the cost of doing stuff. Like what we built a road for yesterday, to build that same road again today is 30% dearer. So, and I think you're all seeing that with your day-to-day buying of whether it's food, petrol, paying your mortgages, all that type of stuff. Those things affect council just as much as it affects you. The average across New Zealand is around 15.4%, so there's some councils as low as 6%, and there's some councils as high as 24%. So we're sort of sitting in the middle range there at 17.4%. We've worked really hard, the councillors have worked really hard to try and keep those costs down to a bare minimum, so we haven't got any really nice to have projects, we're doing must have stuff, which is our infrastructure. We're very proud that we've kept up to date with our infrastructure, particularly in our waters and wastewater, and we're still investing heavily in that because we can't do it without it. So those are some of the huge costs that are really affecting us. The biggest one is obviously interest costs. Like this time last year, or probably a little bit before that, we were paying about 1.5% for our borrowing, and we're up around that 6% mark now. No different than your home loans where you were at 2.5% and probably staring down the barrel of 7 or 8%. So those are huge costs, and when you're talking the type of millions of dollars that we have in debt, they make a huge impact to our daily costing here at council. We obviously use debt to ensure that our infrastructure that we build is getting paid for by those generations that are getting the use of it. So if we build a water pipe today that's going to have a 50 to 100 year lifespan, we make sure that we're getting the people that are going to be paying for that over that 50 year, 100 year lifespan, that they're all paying their fair share into that infrastructure, so that you guys aren't paying it for it today, and then everyone else gets the benefit later down the track. So that's why we have debt. Some councils don't have debt, they might have large investment funds. We're not that blessed here in Hauraki. We don't have those large investment funds that we can drive off, so rates is our only tool to do that. We know it's not quite right, and we've been talking with our partners at central government to get that model sort of changed, but that's currently the system that we work with. If there's any questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or any of the councillors, or provide feedback in our submission process on about what we're doing. If you think there's a project in here that is still a nice to have, which I don't think we've got some of those at the moment, but if you do, well, that's where we want to hear. And there might be something that you think we should be doing that you want to see, or some changes. So we want to hear your feedback. As much as people say there online that this is a tick the box exercise, it is not. Our councillors live and breathe this stuff, and they put in an enormous amount of time. We've heard all sorts of stuff about cut the councillors' salaries in half. Well, they work for nothing as it is, so those aren't on the table. But there are stuff in there that you might think that, hey, we could push that out a couple of years when we can afford it. So we want to hear from you and make sure you're providing that feedback to us. But that's about the short and curlies of it, the nuts and bolts, the down and out. It's not what we'd like to go out with, but this is a problem that every council in New Zealand is probably facing at the moment. And you're going to hear it a lot. You've probably already heard it a lot on the news, and you'll probably hear it a lot in some of the other communication. But yeah, if you've got any questions, any concerns, ring us, ring the council, and have your say. So there's many ways you can do that. You can get one of these booklets, you can pick up one of the submission forms, We're putting stuff out there on our Instagram, on our Facebook. We haven't quite got onto the TikTokies yet, but if you leave a comment on that, that'll be granted and taken into account when we're hearing those submissions, that process there. Our Kōrero Mai page, jump on that. You can feedback into that. We'll take all of that into account, and then you can sign up with your email address and get up-to-date information about what's happening either in your town or across the whole district. So it's a good way to keep in touch with us. But apart from that, get along. If you see a public meeting, get along to it. We'd love to have you there. The more people, the merrier for us. We prefer it when there's a heap of people there. Come and talk to us. Let us know what your challenges are. Let us know what your thoughts are. And hopefully we come out with a plan that everybody's happy with. Cheers.